Welcome to KMET 1490 AM ABC News Radio and the Southern California Business Report, a show dedicated to highlighting successful Southern California businesses and the people behind them, with Daryl McCance and Yvette Walker. And now, here's Daryl and Yvette.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Southern California Business Report with Yvette Walker and Daryl McCance. We are always excited about the successful businesses in Southern California and the people behind them, from small, awe-inspiring sole proprietors to world-renowned organizations. And today, we have a world-renowned organization. And I'm going to ask Yvette Walker to take it from here, and she's got some exciting things to share and an amazing question to ask our first guest. I do want to put a shout out real quick and thank Mitch and Bill and Sean at the station. We always can't say enough about Jay Kaplan and Bill Morris, part of our team for the Southern California Business Report. And I'm going to put a shoot over to you, Yvette, and have fun introducing our guest.
Thank you, Daryl. So today we are honored to have Chair of Surgery at the City of Hope, Yuman Fong. You know, the City of Hope is a comprehensive cancer center based in Los Angeles. And part of his many, many accomplishments, Dr. Fong has been a pioneer both in the operating room and in the laboratory. Yuman Fong, MD, the San Giacomo Family Chair in Surgical Oncology and Chair of Surgery, is an internationally recognized expert in cancer of the liver, pancreas, gallbladder, and bile ducts. He has led the research effort to employ genetically modified viruses to destroy cancer cells. Dr. Fong joined City of Hope in 2014 and more than 2 decades at the renowned Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York City. Dr. Fong is both author and innovator. He has developed many surgical techniques and instruments and written and edited hundreds of scholarly articles as well as nearly a dozen textbooks. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Fong.
Oh, Yvette, very happy to be on. Thank you for having me.
Well, you know, I know you're very, very busy and your time is very, very valuable. So thank you for sharing that with us. And of course, I can't wait. I'm so eager to ask you the number one question that anybody and everybody who's ever known someone battling cancer has asked. And that is, when will we have a cure for cancer?
Well, Yvette, can I tell you a little secret? We actually have, okay? Meaning that if somebody presents at stage 1-2 cancer, or for most cancers, we now cure above 95% of some of the most common cancers if we just touch it at stage 1-2. And the trick is just catching them at that time, okay? And we can find people when their cancers first form or prevent it before it forms, then we actually have cured cancer. The trouble is that we now are still continuing to find them when they are widespread.
I see. Well, that is very encouraging news. So what do we have to do to find these cancers at stage 1 and stage 2?
Well, part of it is really just going for screening for cancer. The American Cancer Society, as well as a lot of the guidelines from major cancer centers, have now been put together to help us decide who's at risk, at what age are we at risk, and what kind of testing should we go do. And now there's also an enormous amount of research being done so that the testing is getting simpler and simpler. Some cancers we can just find by simple blood tests, and some we're trying to find by urine or even simpler tests. Some cancers we still have to do things like x-rays, mammography, and others, a little bit more invasive tests such as colonoscopies. But again, the entire field of screening and finding early cancers has really taken off, and I think it's going to be a wonderful thing for people everywhere when we can get to the point of finding cancers and when we can truly cure it.
That's wonderful.
I have a question for the good doctor on, well, first of all, it just really makes me happy that we got another New Yorker over here in Southern California Last week's guest, Bill Morris, we also got him from New York. By the way, he set the world record for sit-ups at over 20,000 and donated money to Make-A-Wish. And so the only thing better than one high-quality New Yorker is two high-quality New Yorkers. So welcome to Southern California. And on
Yes,
the subject of colon cancer, give us some more background on it. You know what it runs in my family. We talked about that, and what other things are happening as far as it's stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4 that are exciting?
Listen, colon cancer, we've made such progress. And so again, colonoscopy is allowing us now to discover the cancers really early, even before the cancer forms. We find a polyp that can turn into cancer down the line. We can now remove that polyp and in a couple of hours worth of work, get people home and prevent the cancer from even forming. As you know, there are many other testing that is being formulated so that through very simple blood or stool tests, we might be able to go discover folks that are trying to form cancers. But once it forms, we can still cure people all the way to stage 4. That's something that people don't actually realize, that even if somebody has colon cancer that's going to the liver, and that would be stage 4 cancer, we are now curing between 30 and 40% of those patients by just removing the spots in the liver. And that was something that we just did not understand 30 years ago, that cancer could actually spread by blood to the liver, but go nowhere else, and that it might actually be contained in such a way that if the surgeon can remove the spots, someone can be cured.
Well, that's amazing.
And people still don't know that and understand that. That's why one of the most distressing things that I've been writing about over the last year is that in California, when we look at the state records of healthcare in the last 10 years, only 9% of people with metastatic colon cancer and liver actually got surgery. We think that that's probably 1/4 of the patients that are eligible for surgery. And just by public education, I'm actually hoping that we will get to a point where someone can actually get to a surgeon and get surgery and potentially be cured, or at least have their lives extended. So quite excited about this field, and I hope you will help me sort of publicize the fact that we can cure people at stage 4 colon cancer.
That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Yvette and I are always looking for secrets, and that's the definition of a secret. I think people would be shocked to hear. Now, you have so much experience. Where was that 10 years ago? Where was that 20 years ago? It was a very different reality, wasn't it?
Oh, yes. I still remember when I was in medical school, that would be the mid-1980s. If you opened somebody to do colon surgery to remove a cancer, but you saw a teeny tiny spot in the liver, we would close. We would think that there was no hope and there was no reason to go ahead. And now you fast forward 3-4 decades, and now we know we can cure individuals. In fact, one of the other cool things, Daryl, is that the kind of surgeries that we've been doing has been getting less and less invasive. So a big part of what I do at the City of Hope Cancer Center is really robotic surgery. That's the field where we actually could reach into human beings with teeny tiny incisions as small as 5 or 8 millimeters and insert instruments that are controlled by a computer that's driven by a surgeon. And we can actually go and cut out spots of tumor from the liver and get people home in a very short time. In fact, about a third of the patients that I operate on for colon cancer in the liver. So this is liver surgery. Will stay just overnight and go home. And so really, we're getting to a point where, I keep saying when my kids say, well, what are you trying to accomplish, Dad? I go, well, more cures, less invasive. Okay, that's how I think of how my work life is trying to find solutions to people's cancers, but at the same time, try to see what we can do to minimize the trauma to them and the time away from their normal activities and from their families.
That is absolutely remarkable, Dr. Fong. And since we're on the topic of technology and cancer treatment options, can you share with us how telemedicine has evolved in this current environment and how it has enhanced that level of care for your patients at City of Hope?
So, as you know, Guy, the last 5-6 months have been enormously challenging for healthcare and for our patients. This COVID crisis, patients are afraid to go for testing, afraid to go to the hospital, afraid to have procedures, and afraid to get treatment for cancers and other diseases that they have. And so telemedicine is one of the byproducts that actually has sprung forth hugely. So at the City of Hope, a quarter of our patients are now seen by a telemedicine, meaning that they don't actually have to come to the hospital. We will speak to them by video conference or by teleconference, and allow them ability to get health care without going out and without arriving at a cancer center. And this whole field has really moved forward very quickly. Part of it is that the insurers and the government has been supportive. Okay, they realize that a lot of healthcare now can be done remotely, and they are actually starting to allow us to do that. But where the future is even more exciting. Okay, besides just being able to talk to individuals far away to take care, to give opinions, we're probably going to be able to deliver care that way. So in my group, for example, we now have a trial funded by the National Institute of Health, where we're actually, after surgery, sending people home with sensors. And those sensors could be simple things like blood pressure cuffs that are connected to the internet, or a scale that weighs them and sends the data to us, or step monitors to tell us how active the patients have been. And what this has allowed us to do is track patients and know who's about to get in trouble and salvage and save them before they get into trouble. So that's the next step that's being tested now, and I'm sure it's going to be standard healthcare. And then the third part really is to take this technology and then to do interventions at home. So one of the areas I'm most excited about is rehabilitation. Right now, 80% of American women who have breast cancer surgery don't get rehabilitation, which is really important for long-term functional outcome from breast surgery. We think that we can, in the future, send the patients home with sensors at a low cost that allow them to do the exercises and for us to monitor them from the hospital and help them through their acute episode and back to good health. So very exciting area, the whole area of telehealth.
That is remarkable. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm curious, what steps, what protocols is the City of Hope, has the City of Hope adopted to ensure that everyone is safe during this time and, give the patients the confidence to go and know that they're going to be safe?
Yeah. Again, this very challenging time, I will say to the patients, it's still important to get your direct health care when it's necessary. And so at the City of Hope Medical Center, what we have done is this. We actually started screening very early on, even as early as the end of March and early April. We were screening patients and everybody coming to the hospital for symptoms of COVID. And then we started testing everyone coming for surgery, for chemotherapy. And that's because I live in a hospital where every patient is vulnerable. They are cancer patients. They're at risk of higher complications from an infection. So in addition, we've also done limited trafficking, traffic around the hospital, meaning that anyone not essential to be in the hospital, we've actually removed. That's from workers who could work from home, to visitors who don't actually need to be there, to doctors that on the days that they are not doing direct patient care, we're keeping them at home. And then recently, we even started a volunteer random testing program, meaning the staff could actually volunteer to be randomly tested for COVID to make sure that there aren't asymptomatic staff or that could be bringing COVID into the hospital. And the good news there is that we've done thousands of tests there and have not found a single case of COVID in an asymptomatic worker. So we've been quite happy with how everything's gone. And because of all of this, we've been able to maintain the mission of cancer. In our main hospital, we've actually not yet, knock on wood, had a case of COVID-19. And that's allowed us to do our usual surgery, our usual screening, our usual chemotherapy, and a bone marrow transplant for patients who really need it.
That's
That is
fantastic.
astounding.
It sounds like your facility is one of the places you want to be if you don't want to be around any COVID-19 exposure. So that's really amazing. That is very, very positive. Now, we talked about a specific type of cancer. When you look at the big picture, because you guys are the very definition of comprehensive cancer care, what other areas in cancer do you think are really advancing very quickly? And most people don't know certain things that Yvette and I call secrets. What other thoughts come to mind in that big picture that you have that daily perspective that the rest of us do not?
Oh, one of the huge areas of improvement in cancer care has been immunotherapy. And let me explain what that is. That's harnessing the body's own immune system to kill cancer. And we've not long known that it is possible because, again, our immune system that we have in each one of us is very, very, very powerful. It's just that the body turns it off against cancer because many cancer cells look very much like a normal cell and therefore, if we start attacking everything that looks like that cancer cell, we might end up attacking normal organs. But recently, there have been a huge number of advances in immunotherapy that has really brought things around. And so there's a whole class of therapies called checkpoint inhibitors that sort of take away that cloaking of cancer so that our immune cells can recognize it. And that's actually brought huge changes in skin cancer, melanoma, lung cancer, bladder cancer, many other cancers that previously we were not able to treat. Now there are also ways of doing what we call active immunotherapy, meaning that we can actually train a immune cell to go back in and kill cancer. They're like the special forces of our immune system. We can actually take something called a T cell, which is the main cell that kills foreign invaders, whether it's a cancer, bacteria, or it's a virus. We could take it out, insert genes that train it to recognize something on the cancer that we know is well targeted, send it back to kill cancer. So one of the most important is in a kind of lymphoma and leukemia called B-cell lymphoma and leukemia. We now have approved therapies where even if somebody's failed chemotherapy, we can actually train that patient's immune system to go back in and recognize a protein on those cancer cells called CD19 and kill off the cancer and put the patient back in remission. So really exciting field where I think that it's only going to get even better. And so again, many cancers that we were unable to treat before at stage 4, we're now able to do. And so very exciting times.
Well, you've taken my personal anxiety from high to medium. So that's fantastic. That is absolutely great news on the whole subject of cancer. You know, this what the City of Hope has done, and all the advancements are really, really amazing. It's just positive, and everybody needs to know about it. And it's we're going to help get that word out. That's for sure.
Wonderful.
And,
so, Daryl, I am glad that I didn't bring it below medium, though, okay? And the reason is we still need to be vigilant, okay? Because cancer is still the number 2 killer in America.
Yeah.
600,000 people this year, okay? And therefore, we need to be vigilant. And so, again, beyond a certain age, we need to screen for cancer. In certain families, we need to screen sooner in our lives for cancer. So, again, I want everybody to be vigilant. We just want all those screening tests and they to be less invasive to us so that we can catch cancer earlier and cure more people.
Well, we're gonna.
So, with that said, Doctor, one more thing, Doctor. With that said, can you tell us again how frequently should we be screened? For instance, how frequently should we be getting our mammograms? How frequently should we be getting our colonoscopies? What is the frequencies of the standard screenings that you would recommend? Yeah.
So for colonoscopy, okay, depending on the risk level in the family, and it would be every 3 to 5 years that there should be a colonoscopy. We start some families and some genetic backgrounds a little earlier, okay, in terms of life, in terms of screening. Mammograms, again, in certain families and that we know have predisposition to breast cancer, we screen them actually fairly frequently, but after a certain age, again, having your yearly mammogram is important. Making sure that you do self-exam is even more important, and so all of these things are important. But I'm hoping, though, that in the next few years we might be able to find certain blood proteins that will tell us about any cancer, so that we can actually have an easier way of screening for a whole bunch of cancer and not just some of them.
That's wonderful. Thank you for reminding us.
Now, Zen there at City of Hope we're all going to be in trouble if we don't make it real clear how accessible and wonderful. Yvette mentioned the telemedicine. I'm actually physically in LA County. Yvette is in San Bernardino County. It's so centrally located right in the San Gabriel Valley. We got Pasadena next door. It's so accessible, not only telemedicine, but it's comprehensive. The City Hope is accessible. You've talked about how safe the environment is there. And now Yvette just mentioned about the importance of the exams. Are we concerned can you talk a little bit about your thoughts about some of the anxieties people have had over the last 3, 6, 9, 12 months about getting in there and getting things done? Talk about how important it is, I guess, to catch these things early and really try to get over that mental concern, especially now that we know it's such a safe environment, probably one of the safer environments of any place we can go.
Yeah. So let me amplify that a little bit, Daryl. Again, the 24% of patients we're seeing by telehealth, I think we're delivering amazing health care without putting anyone at risk, and allowing also for convenience, right? And that's because, again, you think about a doctor's visit, it is not just the patient coming, it's oftentimes a family member taking time off from work and driving. It is worrying about the transportation in addition to COVID. And that's why, throughout the last 3 decades, the City of Hope actually has worked on trying to bring medicine closer to the patients and their families. We actually have numerous sites around Southern California, ranging everywhere from Antelope Valley down to Orange County, that actually have City of Hope sites. So that if someone doesn't have to drive long ways, they can actually get really good cancer care very much near where their homes are. Okay? So that's a wonderful thing. But there's huge anxieties out there, Yvette and Daryl, and part of that is founded because it is a terrible virus that we're facing that's going to take lives and make people sick, and therefore, again, for the future, we need to stay safe. But in the meantime, getting screening is really important, because if you think about the ability to prevent advanced stage cancer, one of the recent studies published by the NCI, the National Cancer Institute, was published by Dr. Ned Sharpless. What he basically estimated was, because people are afraid to go get cancer screening, he thinks that just for breast and colon cancer, two of many cancers, in the next decade, we're going to see an extra 10,000 people die of the disease because of fear of going to get screening and get tested. Okay, and so when you multiply that by the many other cancers that are around us, that's why it's important now to go and say, what are the safe facilities we can go to for testing? What are the safe facilities we can go to for treatment if cancer is found? And don't delay the cancer screening or treatment if that's what's necessary. And so, again, that's why we work so hard every day to try to make it safer.
Can you talk a little bit about the different ages? Because I think there's confusion, just kind of generally speaking. And you can go from cancer to cancer, because I know they all have unique characteristics. But the proper age for screening Because I hear different things, and does it matter by gender? Does it matter beyond kind of the previous health? Is there some kind of general rules of thumb that you think are credible?
Yeah. So the rule of thumb is this: if you are approaching age 50 or beyond, you should really be thinking about routine screening for the common cancers. Common cancers in patients of advancing age. I don't want to say advanced age because I'm in the older group now, Daryl.
Yeah, me too, unfortunately.
Most of those are random events that happen that cause cancer. Okay, those are not genetically predisposed, and that's because living in America, living in the world where we have pollution, we have processed foods, we have many other things that actually create the conditions for forming cancers. We actually need screening. So when you approach the fifth decade, work with your internists, talk to them about what is the proper screening that's necessary. But for some families, so if somebody is in a family where a number of the individuals in the family has had cancer, there should be consideration given to genetic counseling. So again, one of the big areas in comprehensive cancer centers like City of Hope is that we have a whole division in the hospital that does nothing but analyze genes in cancers and genes in people, try to figure out who's at higher risk and how to go and prevent the cancer in some of the individuals. And so if there's a number of cancers that have been in your family, go and see whether a genetic counseling on cancer is necessary. And if certain genes are discovered, there are guidelines to much earlier screening. Okay, so for example, there is a gene that could be arranged called BRCA2. And what BRCA2 is, everybody hears about it for breast cancer. And it actually predisposes people to all kinds of cancer because what the gene does, it codes for a protein that fixes our DNA. So if we go out in the sun and sun hurts our DNA, this is the gene that runs around and fixes it. So if there's no way to fix it because this gene is defective, then many organs are at risk for forming cancer. Okay, and so for our families that are BRCA2 positive, mutated, boy, it should be much earlier screening. In fact, there are now folks that with certain genes that we now do prophylactic surgery, meaning that they're at such high risk for forming certain cancers that we will do surgery to remove those organs at risk to prevent cancers from forming.
Wow.
So, Doctor, yes, that is amazing that you're able to find everything that way. But in addition to the screening, in addition to proactive medical measures, what would you recommend in terms of lifestyle preventative, proactive changes or adjustments that we can make to try to be on top of it and not, be operating from a position of weakness as it relates to combating these cancer cells?
Oh, there's so much we know now, Yvette, on preventing cancer, and they range from everything from diet to exercise to environment. Okay, and so recently I did a number of studies looking at food deserts. Food deserts are places where fresh fruit and vegetables are not available. Okay, and so again, it's urban environments where it's more than a mile to a supermarket. It's suburban or rural environments where it's more than 10 miles from fresh food. It's very clear now that it is a higher place. It is a place of higher incidence of heart disease, as well as obesity, as well as diabetes, as well as cancer formation. The studies that we have done recently actually have looked at the fact that even when someone forms cancers and they live in the food desert, they're also much more likely to die from the cancer. And it's not just because they don't get. It's not just because there's a difference in treatment. Same incidence of surgery and chemotherapy, and people still die sooner. So again, trying to fix that, trying to bring fresh fruits and vegetables to our population is really important. But on the individual level, okay, fiber is important, okay, and to prevent colon cancer and many other kinds of cancer. Trying to prevent obesity, okay, is important, and that's because anytime there's glucose intolerance, meaning that higher sugar levels actually push the ability of cancer cells to form and grow. And then exercise. Really important to have exercise because, again, staying fit actually does make a difference in terms of cancer formation and cancer progression. So again, some very simple life things that we can do. And so again, it's not just about treating the cancers, it's also about preventing it and staying healthy so that we live longer and be with our families.
That's right.
That's
right.
Well, my dad had an amazing relationship with his primary care doctor, and he shared with me that when his doctor told him to do something, he did it, and the doctor was really very impressed by that because that's not always the case. We got some great doctors out there that have just done amazing things and have amazing care for their clients. The City of Hope is, what they're doing for their patients is just amazing. When we come back from break, we're going to ask you a general question, and that is, if you could wave your magic wand and have your patients or your colleagues or, any part of this whole topic of cancer, if you could wave your magic wand and have people do three things, and you've kind of touched on them a little bit, but if they could do three things that could really make everything move forward to that where Yvette was saying, when are we going to have a cure for this? Everybody has to work together. There's a lot of moving parts on it. So we will we'll throw that at you when we come back from break. But this has been amazing. The City of Hope we're so fortunate to have City of Hope. The fact we were able to kidnap you from New York and get you out here to Southern California. And, we're trying to get the message from San Luis Obispo to San Diego. And so we're going to be pushing this message forward and looking forward to it. So any other questions you have, Yvette, before we go to break?
I'm saving mine for after the break. I'm saving mine for after the break.
Oh, you rascal. Okay, Sean, take us out, and we'll be back momentarily right after the break.
Hello, listeners. This is Christopher from The Christopher Show. Hey, if you missed one of our shows here at KMET, don't worry about it. You can go to our webpage, and that's KMET1490am.com. Go to the homepage, click on the SoundCloud tab, and hear any show anytime you want. Your Pharmacy and Mobility Solutions now has Pack Your Meds. That's right, just add water. You order 5 or more prescriptions from Your Pharmacy and Mobility Solutions, and they will pack your meds for you in AM/PM marked packs. No more sitting down and counting and dropping them on the floor. You remember, it's not fun. I didn't like it. So now they'll do it for you. Safe, sealed, and dated. So call Your Pharmacy and Mobility Solutions at 951-845-8252.
Take KMET 1490 AM with you everywhere you go by downloading our free smartphone apps found on the KMET website, KMET1490am.com. You can also go to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store on your phone to download the free app. Now you can listen live or play any of your favorite programmers' podcasts using your smartphone. Don't miss out on the free KMET smartphone apps. Go to KMET1490am.com and download your free phone app today.
Join Daryl McCance and Yvette Walker every Tuesday at 3 p.m. on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM, and on the internet at KMET TV for the Southern California Business Report. The show is dedicated to highlighting successful businesses and the individuals behind them. Daryl and Yvette interview the incredible people managing these enterprises that range from awe-inspiring sole proprietors to world-renowned organizations. The Southern California Business Report, Tuesdays at 3 p.m. on KMET AM and on the internet at KMET TV.
Welcome back to ABC News and Talk, Southern California Business Report with Yvette Walker and Daryl McCance. And we are here and we're honored to be with Dr. Fong from the City of Hope. And he is going into overtime, so we're going to get in trouble if we keep him much longer. But we've persuaded him to give us a little updates on what's happening with clinical trials. This is such a tough subject, and it's been very uplifting for me personally. I know Yvette's been really excited about this interview today. And before we have you wave your magic wand, Dr. Fong, and of the three things that you wish could happen in the short term from the patients, what patients need to do, or any other piece of the subject matter that you know better than anybody, can you give us an update on clinical trials and what you're seeing that's exciting?
As you know, Daryl, clinical trials are how we make progress the fastest, okay? Meaning that if we have something that is promising, we take it to patients and we compare it to standard treatment as we have it and try to see whether we can do better. And so from that standpoint, again, that's the value of comprehensive cancer centers like the City of Hope, because, again, not every patient we see are in a curable stage. And therefore, if they are really exhausting some of the standard procedures and medicines that we have, all the promising medicines are now being tested, and those are the clinical trials. And so if somebody really is failing their therapies, again, don't give up hope. And there are many amazing, promising trials out there of new medicines that are going to be the next generation medicines. Okay. But trials aren't just in the stage 4, Daryl. In the earlier stage, where we are able to cure patients, we're now testing, is there a scan that will find the cancer better for us to take it out? Is there a less invasive way we can deal with the cancers? Will smaller incisions allow us a better recovery? And how to follow patients through therapy and track them. So there are many, many different technological as well as device-related trials that are also now available at many comprehensive cancer centers. So, again, I encourage patients always to consider a trial, especially if they think they're running out of options.
And how can they find out about these trials? Do they go to the City of Hope website? Is there a page dedicated to participating in these trials?
Absolutely. Okay. So there are 2 ways that are good. The internet has been a really amazing thing for trials. You can actually search for trials in your disease and your stage of disease at our website, at the NIH website. That's the National Institute of Health website. Or you could call us, and we actually have navigators and referral folks that actually can track down whether there's a right trial for you. And so again, it's many kinds of resources now, and it's great that patients are getting more and more savvy about navigating the internet. But sometimes, if you just need human help, we can help you. Call us. Okay.
Very good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, now we're going to, since Yvette had the opportunity to ask, when are you going to cure cancer? And you gave us an amazing amount of great news, because everybody's been in the mood for great news. And that's success, the very definition of success. If you could wave your magic wand and have either patients or your colleagues or some other entity that's involved in this subject, what would be your three wishes? What would you love to see happen? What's next?
First of all, I wish for a simple blood or urine test that will highlight cancers of all types, okay? Because then we can actually have folks routinely tested in easy fashion and screen our entire population for cancer. And and people are working on that, okay? But the second wish is that I would love for each of us and our patients to take more time for ourselves, okay? And that's where managing your diet, managing your eating habits, and managing your exercise comes in. I think that too many of us neglect ourselves, and so take some time for yourself, because living better, living healthier, and exercising healthier is going to pay dividends both for heart disease as well as for cancer. And third, I would love that if somebody has a diagnosis of cancer, they would at least consider an opinion at a comprehensive cancer center such as the City of Hope. Because too often people think that comprehensive cancer centers are just for when everything is failing and they are looking for the last hope. No, you're looking for the best outcome for cancer, and many times it is at a major cancer center. Whoever does that first operation to try to remove cancer probably has the most influence on whether someone is going to survive and someone's going to live longer. And so again, getting another opinion at a major cancer center such as the City of Hope, I think it's enormously important for any diagnosis with cancer.
That's big. Those were, I'm sure, glad I asked. Now, Yvette, we have 3 secrets. Okay, we're going to repackage those as secrets. Because that's
all critical information.
You made it easy on us. All we have to do is exercise, have a little fun, and eat right. So that's within our grasp. Well, thank you for all the update. We hope to have you back on, your entire team at City of Hope. We really appreciate you and Zen and everybody working together to get this information out. We'll do our part, and then as things develop, especially something that's on your top 3 list that you just had, reach out to us, because we want to get you back on air. Especially, we got so much going on in Southern California. It's such a beautiful, beautiful place. You're not allowed to go back to New York. We're going to keep you here. If anybody, any of your friends or family, let them know they can come out and visit anytime. But we need to keep you right here in our backyard.
That's right.
And but we just can't thank you enough. Yvette, did you have any other thoughts?
No, same here. Thank you so much, Dr. Fong, for sharing such critical information. And really, in the big scheme of things, a lot of it goes down to basics. And, my philosophy has always been, if we could just care for ourselves the way we care for our cars, especially in Southern California with the way we commute, I think we'd be in much better health. And I really appreciate, a lot of the barriers that you were able to address today, and take away some of those anxieties for some people that, would be a little standoffish from having to go through some of the screening processes or visiting the City of Hope. So for that, I'm very thankful to you and to your team, and to the entire City of Hope mission. So thank you for that, Dr. Fong.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me on, Yvette and Daryl. Okay, thank you.
You got it. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
Thank you, Doctor. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Yvette. Now we're going to talk about them. Okay. Was that?
Yeah.
Was that? That was way more than I expected, and I think it's going to really be very motivating for everybody to hear what where it's at. What's the state of the union. It's been a long time since there's a very big, comprehensive cancer facility like City of Hope that has really had the time. Because today we had the time to really hear Dr. Fong give us the whole background, take us through it uninterrupted, talk about the big picture, then break it down into some smaller pieces, specific cancers, the fact that 90% of the cancers are now, they have a plan of attack to to knock them out. The earlier that they're
Well,
addressed,
that
the
was
better.
90% for stage 4 is what he was telling us. 90% for stage 4, and basically stage 1 and 2 is curable as long as we are doing our regular screenings and they're able to catch it fast enough. So that was the first secret, was the cure to cancer. So yeah, that's all such inspiring information, especially for people like you and I didn't know you had a history of cancer in your family, but I also have a history of cancer in my family. So knowing this information just puts me at more ease, and maybe I can eliminate a little bit of that stress and put that time to focus on myself and eat well and exercise and not, feel like, my fate will necessarily be the fate of those that I've seen become affected by this.
Yep. Well, thank you again. Okay, I'm going to go on to my next Zoom meeting. Thank you. Okay.
Thank
you,
Doc.
thank you so much, Dr. Fong.
Thank you, Doctor. We'll talk to you soon.
Have a great week.
Okay.
Take care.
Yeah, so we got spoiled. City of Hope spoiled us today by allowing us to take time from their chief of surgery, Dr. Fong, and and update the audience on where we're really at on something that would typically be, a subject people just don't really want to talk about. And isn't he optimistic? I mean, you just amazing the positivity when you imagine all he deals with, and for him to be positive, that's inspirational for everybody. Go get tested. With everything that's going on in the world right now, we're very lucky that we have these opportunities to go in and get screening, get these things out of the way. I'm going to go on record that I have been taking better care of my car, probably to take care. That was a great analogy, but no, I'm going to be a lot more enthusiastic after hearing Dr. Fong and the City of Hope's update on where we're at with cancer, and how lucky are we in Southern California to have a facility like City of Hope. I know Yvette, tell us, the details about their satellite that just opened up near you.
Yes, so I was just about to say, I completely agree, Daryl. Absolutely inspiring to see somebody that's in the trenches day in and day out be so optimistic, and I hope that our listeners and viewers really latch on to that and move forward and take the next steps for the screening processes and embrace a healthier lifestyle if they're not already embraced it. For me personally, I have always done my best to make time to stay on top of my health for the same reason that I do have a history of cancer in my family. So I tend to take a little extra more precautions. So we've been very fortunate. Not too far from us in the city of Upland, they have a satellite office. So I went there in October, and I was in and out in an hour. It was so easy, so efficient. I did all of my blood labs and my mammogram and had all the results back within a week. So
wow.
There are no excuses for not doing it or not having the time to do it. It's just so amazing how fast they're able to do everything and to get you the results, and to know that there's a comprehensive cancer facility in Duarte right here in Los Angeles County that can, take care of you surgically when needed in such a way that the technology has just made it so easy to allow a lot of these procedures to be outpatient procedures, which basically means you don't have to stay at the hospital. You go into the OR, they do the surgery, and because the tools that they use are so precise and advanced, you don't have to stay, overnight or 2 or 3 days following surgery. It's basically like, getting a haircut and coming out, and hopefully one day it'll be that simple. But, the technology, the advances that they've come through for us is nothing short of astounding.
Well, my takeaway of everything that was said, I think the when we asked them to wave your magic wand and give us the 3 secrets, what if you could recommend anything, or people should know something, and that is do not hesitate to go straight to City of Hope. Do not hesitate.
Right.
And City of Hope is very convenient to everybody in Southern California.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you live in Chula Vista, if you live in San Luis Obispo, there's a lot of people that to get to these types of world-renowned organizations, it's very common where they would have to fly in from another country or fly in from another state, and here we are again, welcome to Southern California. We couldn't be luckier to have facilities like City Hope. And then to make it even easier, like you said, they've got satellites that can do a lot of the, the stuff that, can make it even more convenient. I would imagine, and we'll find out more soon, but I would imagine a lot of the screening and a lot of the critical first steps, prevention, I would imagine much of that is being done in the satellites. And, but yeah, it's really, we're very, very fortunate, very fortunate. Yeah. What of his big three, or of the entire interview, what was your big, which one hit you? What one or two items hit you?
I would have to say the T-cell gene therapy, when they talk about basically programming your own T-cell genes to reinsert them into your body and attack these very specific cancers, that to me just blows me away. And it gives me hope for, not only us, but for future generations as we move forward, maybe not only for cancer care, but for other, neurological diseases, Alzheimer's, things of that nature. When you start talking about those genetic enhancements, I think there's a lot of good that can come from it when you're talking about healthcare. So that to me is what stood out. And I was super impressed. In addition to that, and I didn't bring it up during the interview, but I know that they are eons ahead of what a lot of people know about cancer treatment. In fact, Jeff's uncle, Jerry, he actually was a case study at the City of Hope and underwent therapy for leukemia. So he was the oldest person on record to have a bone marrow transplant, basically, and survive. Because if you know anything about the bone marrow transplants, it's basically they're killing you and resuscitating you. And he was the oldest one to have survived and go into remission. So it was a tough journey for him, but the City of Hope made it happen for him. So they are very.
Yeah, I know several people that have been over there and their cancers are 100% in remission. And they had very different types of cancer. So that word comprehensive is a big deal, that they are so knowledgeable on so many different levels. But again, we're at the end of the program. I want to say thank you to the City of Hope. Thank you, Dr. Fong. Yes. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Have a great week.
Thank you.
This has been the Southern California Business Report with